Well, welcome to the Reaching Higher podcast. I'm here with Ari Lawrence.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
So excited for today's interview because it will be the first time that we are actually interviewing and having a podcast with a current student.
I'm excited.
And I'm excited too. Before we jump into the podcast, I just want to thank the Michigan Institute of Athletics and Reaching Higher mentor James Gray. Just does an amazing job. Without James and without their support, this podcast doesn't happen. And you know what? Reaching Higher doesn't happen without our mentors, amazing mentors, right, Ari?
Oh, yes.
And our instructors. So thank you. And if you're interested in mentoring or learning more about Reaching Higher, check out our website at www.reachinghigher.inc.org. So, Ari, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so Ari took the class as a sophomore at South Lyon High School. I was one of the instructors with Ari, and then you came back as a mentor in the next class. And Ari, why don't you just share with everyone a little bit some of the accomplishments and some of the things you got going on within Reaching Higher, because you got a lot on your plate.
I do, yeah. So at my school, I do student council. I was the freshman and sophomore representative for both my freshman and sophomore year. I've also on the varsity pom team at my school, and I'm actually on Link Career. I just got accepted into that. It's a freshman. It's kind of like welcoming the freshmen into the school. And then I'm applying for NHS, hoping I get in. So I'm excited for that.
Oh, my goodness. There's a lot of plates up in the
It
air right
is,
now,
yeah.
aren't there? And you're still getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, 5 hours a night. So
All right. Don't go under 5 hours. You know what
Yeah.
the stats say. Okay. Very good. Very good. So, Ari, so you were a leader coming
yeah.
into the Reaching Higher program. So why did you take Reaching Higher? You were already a leader.
So my freshman year, Jan White, she was the restorative practice at my school. She was actually my tutor in 8th grade. So when I saw her in the hallway my freshman year, I was like, oh, what are you guys doing right now? She's like, I'm actually going into this Reaching Higher class. And I was like, oh, what's Reaching Higher? And she was like, oh, it's just like this class about like leadership. And if you get in, you should totally take it. And I was like, I would love to. So like ever since then, I was like, how do I get into this program? Like, what do I do? And then my sophomore year, when I got the email from Erica Hoffman, my assistant principal, I was like, there's no way. Like, I thought I would get accepted this like my senior year. But I knew right away. I was like, Mom, I have to take this. There's no way I'm not. So that's the reason why I took it.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you to be authentic, which is what we ask our students in the Reaching Higher class. So share with everyone what your experience is, what it was like before Reaching Higher, and what it's like now after Reaching Higher.
So before Reaching Higher, I actually have really bad anxiety, and I have a recessive language issue. So that means I can't really prioritize certain skills. So I've always struggled with that ever since I was little. So I didn't know how to manage it until I actually got into Reaching Higher. And going into Reaching Higher, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. But it was really great because we learned all about like how to be the leader within you before you could be the leader to others. And then after that, I kind of just realized that you have to be a leader to yourself before you're a leader to others. And I feel like that's just the biggest thing that I learned in general. So like afterwards, although I'm still not the best at leadership, I feel like I'm pretty good at it, and I'm really happy with what I learned.
You'll never, ever, and we'll never, ever fully be there, right?
No, never.
This is a journey. And one of the things that I like to say, how can you give what you don't have? How can you lead others until you really lead yourself?
Exactly, yeah.
Lead yourself. So let's unpack that just for a little bit more. One of the things that we ask our mentors to do when hearing your story is to lead through being authentic. And did it help you when our mentors and you heard other students say, yeah, I have some struggles too. I worry about this and I worry about that. And everyone shares maybe a little bit of themselves in regards to, did that really also help that anxiety that you were wrestling with?
100%. Like, I feel like the people that were in my class, the first time I took it, I looked up to all of them, and I was like, there's no way like they struggle. But turns out they had the same exact struggle as me, if not more. So I think it's just really inspiring to hear not only the kids in my class, but also the mentors, because you think they have all their lives put together, but like especially my mentor, Laura, like she had a lot going on, and you would never expect it. She just looks picture perfect, but not everyone, like no one's perfect. So it was really cool and amazing to see that everyone could just come together and kind of just share what they've gone through and realize that you're not alone.
So, what did that give you? Like, one of the things that I always like to tell everyone, it's not about I have this stress or I don't have this stress. But if you remember, I always say, what are you willing to go to war with? Kind of on the inside. So, talk about that a little bit. Now, what is your awareness? How do you fight that today?
I just kind of realized that like everyone is going through something as well, kind of what I mentioned like a little bit ago. I feel like reaching higher has helped me like kind of prioritize stuff, especially because I did mention that recessive language issue, and also like I don't know what to do, and like when I'm like really stressed out, I shut down completely. But I feel like I've gotten better at that. Not perfect, of course, but I feel like I've been okay. Stop and think before you react. We learned that in class, and I feel like that's just the biggest thing I took away was it's a huge difference waiting 2 seconds, just taking a moment to be like, okay, how am I going to react to this instead of overreacting?
Yeah, responding, right? Versus a knee-jerk type of reaction.
Exactly.
So, I mentioned this to you before we got on the air and we started talking, but can you give us an example now, recently, something that's happened? Because what I want the audience, what I want the students to hear is while taking the course is a great experience, it sticks. It sticks with people, and it's basically changing folks. So do you have a circumstance maybe that has come up recently that you dealt with it differently now because of reaching higher than you would have before?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier I was on POM, and we have something called All Stars on my program. It's called Mid American, so they host like a All Stars team for all the varsity teams to come together. And my sophomore year, I did make it. It was my first time trying out, and I was super excited. And then I came back as a junior, an upcoming junior, to try out, and I actually didn't make it. So it was really hard at first just because I worked hard for it, and I just thought it wasn't fair because I made it the year before but not as a return member. So it was a little hard at first, but just kind of realizing that everything happens for a reason, and there wasn't a spot for me this year, but there was last year. And I feel like, again, with the taking a moment instead of overreacting, just to take a couple seconds, be like, it's okay. Like, it's not the whole world. Like, your life does involve POM, but come on, it doesn't involve around this team. Like, I can move on and be a better person, but yeah, everything just happens for a reason. And yes, I'm kind of upset about it, but it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, and disappointment is fine. But what I
100%.
what I love about what you just said is that's not your identity. And so many times, and listen, this is not just a student thing. This is not just a youth thing. As a basketball coach, so many coaches, their identity is how many wins did they get? Did they win a championship and all of that? And your identity is your character. Your identity is your courage and your strength. And I also remember when we were talking about this, your identity is helping someone else, and you helped a teammate get through that who went through the same thing, right?
Yeah, so she's been trying, I won't name names obviously, but she's been trying ever since her junior year to try out, and she's a senior this year, and she really tried her best. Like, you can see the improvement, but she didn't make it. And so how the whole process works is we all sit in a circle with all the teams there, and they call us like all our names one by one, so you know who doesn't make it and who does make it. So at the end, we were the only girls on my varsity team that didn't make it. So she starts crying, and yeah, I'm upset, but she's been working a lot harder than I have. Of course, we've both been working hard, but this girl has put in some dedication into POM, and I just kind of realized that, again, it's not my identity and I'm going to be okay. But she's not right now. She needs that support. So just kind of being there for her was probably my main priority in that moment, and then focusing on myself later, which is a good and could be a bad thing. But in that moment, I feel like it was good.
So I heard you say, as you just talked about that, is, man, there's a lot going on there. And with everyone, and all of a sudden the announcements coming out, and your whole team's there, and you were on it last year when that announcement, and you realized at that moment that I didn't make the team, instead of reacting, you stopped and you processed and said, yeah, that's not my identity. And you were able then to respond.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's so powerful.
Thank you.
That's who you are, and that's the leader that I've always known.
I really
I've
appreciate
really
that.
surfaced through Reaching Higher. So you have a younger sister.
I do, yes.
She's in middle school. Her name is Eden,
Yep.
and she took the class in middle school.
She did, yeah. So she saw like my graduation, when I was an actual student and Reaching Higher, and when I read my speech, she sobbed. She was like, how do I get into this as well? Like, I absolutely love this program. And she got into the program the spring semester, this just past spring, and I am so proud of her. It's an understatement.
So what did she see in you change that inspired her to want to take the class?
She saw a difference in me. We actually talked about this but right before I got here. She kind of, because I was like, oh, I think we're gonna bring up you. Like, what do you think? What's the biggest difference? I was in a dark place before Reaching Higher, and also just the beginning of my sophomore year was just rough for me. And taking Reaching Higher, she definitely saw a change in me. I was a lot more open about my feelings and less like hiding in my room. I would actually come and talk to people. And she's like, that's when I actually got to know my sister more. So that kind of inspired, because she's also gone through a lot as well. So she was like, I need this. How do I get into this program? So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you said you're very different as individuals, as people.
we are definitely really different. Like, people don't think we're sisters. Like, if we're out in public, we wear completely different clothes. Like, I'm more of a cool tone, she's more of a warm tone kind of clothes. Like, we point that out. We actually went shopping yesterday and we completely pointed that out, and it's been like that.
So that brings up a great point that I want you to reflect on and think about your Reaching Higher class. We had athletes in there. We had people that may have even been struggling in there. Essentially, in the school course, we look for people with leadership potential, and it's pretty diverse. So I think you would agree with me that someone that's listening to this podcast, if they say we have to be this type of person to benefit from Reaching Higher, that's false, isn't it?
No, you don't. You can be literally anyone to benefit from this program.
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit in regards to those. What did you see in your classmates also, not just in Ari, when you went through Reaching Higher? Because you actually went through twice. You
I did, yeah.
also came back as a student mentor.
So I have a couple friends in the class that actually went with me the first time, and I talked to them after the program ended. I feel like we all got the same, but also different stuff out of it, if that makes sense. Like, we all got like the positive experience out of it, but each of us had our own struggles that we were dealing with, and I feel like with those circumstances, those helped out a lot more than like, for example, I have really bad anxiety, and that kind of helped my public speaking as well. And another person that took it, they just were not really confident when it comes to their leadership skills, and they feel like this class helped. And like another kid, for example, also just took it just because his mom wanted him to. So, but they still all got something out of it, but of course not the exact same, because we all have different takes on stuff.
All have your own story.
Exactly. So I feel like, yes, we all got the same thing, but no, we didn't, if that makes sense.
But you grew as a person and
Of
as a
course.
leader, right? Awesome. Awesome. So Ari, you had mentioned this to me, saying that I want to be an instructor.
I do, yeah.
I don't want this to stop. So what is it? Why do you want to be an instructor?
I just realized that, like, I got so much out of it, and I want other people to feel the joy that I felt with this program. And I just want to do more to give back to this. Like, you guys gave me my confidence back, and you guys gave me a structure to build upon. And I feel like this is it's at least I could do, but also it's just, I really want to.
Yeah. Do you think it'll benefit you too?
Oh, 100%. Like, I want to go to the middle school and be a mentor there. And I feel like talking to kids that are in middle school as well seems so cool. Like, I do remember my mindset back, like, 3-4 years ago, but talking to kids now would be really cool.
Yeah. So you're one of those leaders who stayed engaged with Reaching Higher, and you had to be proactive, you had to initiate. So one of the things that we're coming out with is what's called Reaching Higher for Life. And essentially, you're already doing that. Like, you follow us on social media, the posts come out, and you're encouraged. But we're going to be offering coaching. We're actually going to have a journal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's going to have basically the principles you learned in Reaching Higher, and it will allow you to get reminded just by noting today and going after it. For instance, I am statements, right? All those key pillars that were a part of the class. So you seem pretty excited. You kind of like, oh, really?
Yeah, I was not expecting to hear that. I'm really excited to see what that turns out like.
Yeah. So how do you think that would help you?
I just kind of feel like those like little reminders that, like, if I'm going through a hard time, let's say like I'm having a really bad day, I feel like that little reminder that I got this, or I can do this, I'm a lot more powerful than these little things, I think will be really impactful for not only me, but I feel like for everyone else that sees them.
Sometimes we get caught up on what's a couple of years out when it's really about the small choice we make in the day.
100%.
And that's what we hope that the Reaching Higher for Life program does. I'm just excited about you in the fact that hopefully next year, if we get the approvals, you're actually going to serve as a mentor in the middle school.
I talked to a couple people that's in the works right now, so I'm really hoping it works out. I'm really excited if it does.
Yeah. What are you hoping that you get out of that?
I'm just hoping to get a new perspective out of things. I kind of touched on this a little beforehand, but just getting a new perspective on how life was before. Of course, like, high school and middle school are completely different things, and also helping out like the middle schoolers. I feel like since if I do mentor, I will be the youngest mentor, I would assume. So I feel like helping those kids realize, okay, I'm just a high schooler. My life is just beginning now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that age gap between me and also the rest of mentors could really help middle schoolers as well. So
Middle schoolers, it's tough, isn't it?
it is really tough. Middle school is a tough age. It's a tough thing. Like, you're going from elementary school for it not being easy, but like from one classroom to 6 classrooms and a bunch of other kids. It's a huge transition that not a lot of people talk about, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're getting a lot of firsts, right?
Exactly.
It's the first time, maybe bullying, maybe some of these other things, negativity, pressure of grades really coming to play. I mean, there's a lot of firsts that are coming at you in middle school that can really isolate you or take you off in a direction that you previously weren't on.
Exactly.
So I want you to now just sit back and think about, man, what's possible today? What's possible in Ari's future because of Reaching Higher, and what do you see how do you view the future?
I view the future with a lot of success, but also a lot of failure, to be honest. Like, you don't, like what we're talking about right beforehand, like, failure is needed in order for us to be successful. Like, if you don't get failure, then what's the point? Like, you're not going to succeed. And that really did stick with me, what he mentioned. Like,
Yeah.
That's a really cool perspective. But I really want to open up my own medical research lab, and I feel like there's definitely going to be failure with that, but also a lot of success with that. And I'm really excited to go through all of that.
Wow. So you believe failure is the path to success?
100%, yes.
Did you believe that before?
No. No, I kind of pictured my life being perfect, and that sounds a little bad, but like I kind of just pictured like I would be the person that would accomplish everything without like having any stumbles around like my path. But no, that's wrong. It's 100% wrong. You're gonna fail. Like, if you don't realize that, you're not human.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you're embracing the struggle, knowing that that's a part of it. And that comes back to that previous example when you talked about, I think it was the all-stars
Yes.
position. It's not about the result. It's about,
how hard you worked.
yeah, and not have any regret,
Exactly.
right? And yeah, that is, the failure is the path to success. There's no doubt about that.
And failure, just you learn more at failure. What I've seen the past couple of months is you learn more when you're in your failure stages than in like when you actually succeed, because I feel like when you fail, you're a lot more motivated or you give up. And I feel like that's what makes you so powerful, is if you decide, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm just going to keep on going. Like, and I feel like failure, it's a hard concept because you don't want to fail, but I feel like that's when you learn the most, but also, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of like the most fun for me. It's just, I don't know, it's something different, and you just kind of like, it stumbles across your path and you have to embrace it.
Yeah.
It's a really weird concept, to be honest. It's hard to explain, but it all makes sense in my brain.
Well, think about social media. Okay, so what are you on social media? Are you, yeah, obviously you're on Facebook, right? Because that's where you sent me the
I'm
post.
on Twitter, and I'm on pretty much everything. I'm not allowed to have Facebook, but
Okay.
I'm allowed to have like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, pretty much everything.
Well, think about it. Do you see that? Do you see people posting stuff about failure on there?
Very, very rarely. Very rarely you see people post about failure. You see these picture perfect people and you're like, how do I want to be like them? But it's something completely different behind the screen. It's something you have to come to terms with, is no one's perfect. Like, they're just shooting like the perfect side of themselves instead of the failure stuff, which is, I guess, okay in a way, just because like if you want to like capture like parts of your life, I guess that's okay. But I feel like you have to also realize, like, as a viewer, no one's perfect. Absolutely not. No one's near perfect. But I feel like recognizing that does get you a step closer to perfect.
Yeah. So we talk a lot in the course about getting outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
Right? And you know me. I've said I'm uncomfortable being comfortable, the Steve Nash quote. And we do
Yep.
some things within the course that we won't go into the details of it, but that intentionally take you outside of your comfort zone to move into your courage zone. Well, in my mind, if we think about failure, where does failure sit? It really doesn't sit in the comfort zone because you never
it
give it a
doesn't.
chance.
Exactly. I feel like not a lot of people reach the failure zone, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. So
Like-
you came up with a new zone.
Like, no one, like, I feel like people are too scared to enter that zone. Like, if, like, no one is like, I see failure ahead of me. I don't want to go near it. Like, I'm scared of it. And I feel like very few people are like, let's go. Like, this is a new adventure. Like, I'm ready to see what it takes.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I know you're very grateful for the opportunity to have taken Reaching Higher. And we do have a lot of partners. I mean, Reaching Higher isn't something that's fully funded in the schools. Sometimes it's not even funded in the schools, and it's totally 100% outside by business partners and everything like that, and people that, foundations and grants that support it. So take a second, maybe just say thank you. Are you thankful for that opportunity to take Reaching Higher? Would you like to say thank you to them?
100%. I'm so thankful for the people that even have the littlest bit of impact or littlest bit of money in this program. I feel like this should reach everyone. Like, I feel like, yeah, only 25 kids are in a class. Not a lot of people know that, but I feel like it should reach everyone. And I'm just really, really thankful for the people that have supported Reaching Higher as something that can help people. And I'm just really, really thankful for that.
Yeah. So I want you to think about your instructors. I was one, but I want you to think about Jan White. So what about Reaching Higher's instructors? What about our mentors? How critical are they as part of the leadership program?
They are probably the biggest part of the program. I feel like if we didn't have the instructors or mentors, what's the point of having a program? I feel like Jan White, she is the sweetest and most encouraging woman I think I have ever met. And I've met a lot of people. I love her so much. She is authentic, but she's just a force to be reckoned with. She's absolutely amazing. I love her so much. And also my mentor, I mentioned Laura earlier. Yeah. She really was the person that kind of opened my eyes up to reaching higher a little bit more. She didn't, again, I mentioned this in my interview, but she didn't talk down to us. She talked with us. Like, I feel like not a lot of adults can do that. And I love that about her. She was so open with us, but also not in a really like creepy way, to be honest. Yeah. But like she was just amazing. And then also Emily, she was my pom coach, but she actually was my mentor coming back as a student mentor. And it was so weird seeing her outside of pom, like seeing two different people. I loved getting to see that side. And I just love Emily so much. I love all the mentors, to be honest.
You saw the person, not just the coach.
Exactly. And I feel like you don't ever get to see that when it comes to coaching. Like, you don't get to see the other sides. You only just get to see the one part of their personality. And I loved getting to see that. And I feel like with reaching higher, you get to see most of people's sides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can be a testament to that as a coach who taught reaching higher. It made me a better coach.
100%. Even me and Emily have talked about that. And she thinks even just her first session with reaching higher, she already sees an improvement with her coaching. And I'm so proud of her for that. Like, I really am. Yeah.
Okay, so we're winding up our podcast. Isn't it amazing how quick it goes?
It goes by so quick. I'm having so much fun.
As am I. So I want you to look into the camera there and actually talk to, let's say, other potential students are watching this podcast. Why should they take Reaching Higher?
You should take Reaching Higher because it is a life changer. You don't ever get this experience with any other class before, like ever. I've never been to a class or taken a class that has been this inspiring and has honestly taught you a lot. So yeah, you have math, you have science, you learn those basic things, but Reaching Higher is a class that you learn about yourself and also how to interact with others. And I think it's a really important and essential class that everyone should take if you get the opportunity.
Awesome. Ari, is there anything else that you want to say, or are you good?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here.
Oh, it was such a pleasure to have you, Ari. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad you're so intentional about staying part of the team.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.